All right, let's start into hearts. My most difficult kingdom. Hearts is the sole reason why this AU kind of took a lot longer. They've undergone the most changes. So let's get into hearts for a bit. Okay, the attribute is love. The magic type I decided to give them was healing and protective magic. So lots of very defensive spells, which really fits because they're like in a valley and like surrounded by like the mountains kind of tower over and stuff like that. Anyway, so the king is King Ludwig, queen is Kiku. Oh, well, I should say that. I mean, we all know who they are, but the king is Ludwig, Germany. The queen is Kiku, Japan. The jack is Feliciano, Italy. We have, well, actually, the kingdom actually has two jacks, which we have Liam, who is the Netherlands. He is the financial jack, so we have the role split into two here. Feliciano handles the diplomacy, while Liam will handle the finances. Because, goodness, Feliciano trying to budget. No. So, but we'll get more into like how Feliciano even has this job when he's kind of. Anyway, the king's ace is going to be Christian, Denmark. The queen's aces are going to be Sadiq, Turkey, and Heracles, Greece. There's a funny story behind those two. Court magician is going to be Lucas, Norway. Court magician's apprentice is going to be Emil, who is Iceland. And then we have Tino, and Burwald, who are the military tacticians. They're like the head military tacticians. They like draw the plans. They see if they're in battle. They really are the backbone of the military. So if we get into Hearts' layout, they're situated between the Emerald Mountain ranges in the north, and then the Sapphire Mountain range to the east. To the east, I'm looking at my notes too. So basically, they live in a valley. So those mountains provide a lot of protection, which is also reflected in their magic choices. They're situated in a valley. They have the most rivers out of the four kingdoms, and the most moderate climate. You're going to see all four seasons here. It doesn't get like scorching hot, but it also doesn't get like extremely like bitterly cold. It's pretty even. They're pretty the middle ground of climates. So if we decide to get into the culture of Hearts is very much so. I had to put my own notes because let's just talk about it. The culture of Hearts is really just like the love is manifested in love for your kingdom and love for what you do. Be passionate about what you do, and that's reflected in your status in society. If you are the best at what you do, you will be really high up, and it's really merit based. So the more you try, the better your results will be. Well, effective trying, of course. So really, it's a culture of you get what you put in, but don't get lazy because you can fall just as fast as you climbed up. The royal family, especially like the kings though, tend to be based on lineage. Now, just like any culture, you can kind of get away with certain things by being friends with the right people. Feliciano. So Feliciano is the jack because, well, his father. That's hard to say. Where do I do with Rome? Either way, Rome exists. His grandfather was a noble, and he became friends with Prince Ludwig. Prince Ludwig's only friend is really Feliciano at that point, so he's like, I don't want him to fall down the ranks because he's so. Meh. So he kind of worked it so he could kind of be a jack and kind of take his grandfather's position, while having his own things to do. So he's going to make sure that both sides are covered, but it's just kind of like I said, Liam doesn't really do the diplomatic stuff. Feliciano will, and he's really good at it. He's good at charming the pants off of people. He loves to wine and dine. So there's that. So I was talking about before about a kingdom where if they feel that the king is not good at their job, or they feel like the king is not, if they feel like the king's unfit, the citizens can and will throw the king out here in Hearts. It's a thing that can happen, and maybe has happened. I don't know. But same goes for the Queen and Jack. Like, if they feel like the funds aren't being, the citizens tend to have some say. It's not quite like absolute monarchy where like the citizens are just, they don't have a say in anything. They do. So any three of those, any three of the king, queen, and Jack, they can be thrown out if the citizens are like, okay, this is not doing the job. Having two Jacks is how Feliciano kind of gets away with that. And of course, the financial Jack makes a lot more money than the diplomatic Jack, because not saying diplomacy Jack doesn't do anything. It's just that there's a lot less math involved. It's a lot less stress. As I said, healing and protective magic are the big magic type of this kingdom. And Heart citizens tend to be the healthiest of all the four kingdoms. And of course, their crown dependencies tend to be really, really healthy as well. They have the longest lifespan out of the four kingdoms. They also have a long-standing relationship with diamonds. So every single year there's like a big get together, like a design show, a fashion show, because they're pretty close together and the families go together. Like, it's said that there are a lot of, like, of all the four kingdoms, Diamonds has the most heart lineage in there because people intermarry so much. So each year there's like a festival between the two kingdoms, and there's like this fashion show, and like the tailors get to be the designers, and Feliciano is happy. He loves to design. He is like, here is my freshest garment, go put this on and stretch your stuff. He always gets beaten by his sister though. He never quite wins. But we'll see what happens to his sister when we get to Diamonds, because that's a fun thing. His sister, Alicia, I think I named her Alicia, is in Diamonds. And she's also the head tailor there, So yeah, unfortunately I don't really have a lot on Hearts. So I can kind of get into some like fun interactions, because like we have how the how Kiku's retainers came to be. Basically, it comes from Kiku being like really impressed with, like, Kiku is longtime friends with, like, when Kiku first came to Hearts, he did make friends with Heracles, who is a knight. So originally around that time, he also selected him to be his ace, but he also that same day noticed that Sadiq was out training. He was really intense. It was really good at what he does, so he also chose him to be an ace as well. And it was all clear. He's like, and Luke was like, yeah, you can have two aces. There's no problem with that. I mean, I only have this one in Christian, but you can have two. So Kiku has two aces. Little did he know that these two aces would butt heads all the time. So there's a lot of insults being thrown, and there's a lot of competition being, hey, yo, bro, I can protect him a lot more than you can. No, you can't. I protect him a lot more. And Kiku's always in the middle between the two of them, and it's crazy. But he doesn't want to dismiss either of them because he really doesn't want to hurt either of their feelings. He doesn't want to pick a side because he values both of them. So Sadiq and Heracles, they often end up fighting each other a lot. Of course, when it comes down to it, when they work together, it's phenomenal. And they will protect Kiku to the ends of the earth, and they can actually work together. Of course, once the conflict's over, they get back to fighting each other. It's a whole thing. But that's a fun relationship between those three. And Kiku's always just like, oh my gosh, can you two please stop it? And it's like, well, he said this. No, he said this. And he said this. And stop it, please. Why can't you two just get it wrong? So there's always that conflict. Poor Kiku's always in the middle between those two. But he loves both of them, so what can you do? The relationship between the king and the queen is platonic. They are good business buddies. There's nothing really romantic between the two. Much to a certain Jack Feliciano's chagrin. He ships it very hard. He's like, well, I mean, you two like each other a lot. You work together. Why don't you try to get together? And there was a time where Feliciano did try to set that up. Ludwig is like, well, I mean, we are king and queen, so I suppose we should try. And Kiku's just like, I don't want to do this. Kiku's kind of over it. He doesn't really care. He's not really interested in that, but he kind of appeased Ludwig, because Ludwig's just like, by the book, is just like, we're king and queen, we should at least try, even though we're not really interested. And Feliciano is just like, of course you are, yes, it's what to do. He's very excited about it. And so it goes into like a series of like dates that are extremely just awkward. So Feliciano just ends up cooking for them. Is he? I think he's also no, he's not. Sakura is. Yeah, Japan's sister here too, but which is Neo Japan. The Neos tend to be siblings of their male counterparts. But it goes into like Feliciano, and he sets up this like dinner. It's supposed to be like all candlelit and everything. And like, I'll be your waiter tonight. Here, please have this, try the wine. He's just trying to get them to like get together, and they're both just kind of like, ugh, no. You have like Feliciano just kind of influence Ludwig, just like, hey, Ludi, put your hand around him. Take his hand, grasp it, whisper into his ear or something. I'm not very comfortable with that, nor do I really want to. So it's like a whole thing. It's like they eventually ends up, Feliciano to this day still ships it, but these two are just not into romance with each other. They're just not interested. But they get along so well, like, they have a very good working relationship. I mean, once Kiku came on board, things, like, Kiku's a very good queen. And they just work together so well. Then we get into the Nordics. So I've kind of grouped the nation, everything kind of like, the Nordic countries are in hearts, Mediterranean's also here, but also somewhere in diamonds. It's like weird. But we also have the Nordic countries, oh baby. Norway is the court magician, and he is just, as Norway is, one of my favorite characters, just that he ain't shit in the best way. That's how I have to describe Norway. And his apprentice is Emil. So he does a lot, he's his little brother, so he does a lot of like teasing and things like that. And then you have the whole cluster that is, it's not really a cluster, no, I mean, what happens in clubs is more like a cluster. But like the whole romantic comedy that is Burwald being infatuated with Tino, and Tino just not getting it. Like, there's a time where Burwald did point blank say, go to dinner with me, I'm interested in having dinner with you. And Tino's just like, oh yeah, sure, they can do that, yeah. So, like, he gets all dressed up in his suit and everything like that. Well, I guess they don't have suits in this, but like, he gets like dressed up in a nice outfit and things like that. And he's ready for like this romantic date, brings flowers and everything. And then here comes Tino showing up with Christian, Lucas, and Emil. Just like, I thought it'd be fun if we had the whole family together. You know, since it shouldn't just be us, we're all a family, right? Not saying they're blood related, but it's just like, so it's a lot of miscommunication. That's funny. I just found it funny. I probably just made a lot of Sufin shippers kind of sad, but that's just what goes on in my heart's place. It's just like, it's fun. I'm trying to think, what else do I want to say about Hearts? Like I said, things are going to change. I do know that a certain ace of the queen, Sadiq, is married to a Clubian ex-noble, Ukraine, Katya, but we'll get into that later. We'll probably get into that in clubs. Yeah, we'll have to get into that in clubs. But I feel like that is all I have on clubs. I know it's a little bit short. Oh, goodness. The Feliciano being a player. Just, we all know that this man flirts with everything and anything. Well, really every girl and any girl that walks by. Poor Sakura, who is Kiku's sister. Also, did they come as a pack? Like I said, like, people end up in different places. But, so she ends up in Hearts as well, and he just makes her kind of uncomfortable. She's the royal chef, and it's just a lot of, ciao, Bella, would you like to come home with me tonight? You know, oh, that whatever you're making right there looks really nice. But it's not as nice as you. And she's just uncomfortable. He just flirts with her so bad, and she's just like, oh no, please. But I don't really have a lot of stories. Like I said, Hearts is kind of my least developed, so I don't really have a lot of stories from Hearts. But that just means there's a lot more to grow from. But I'll develop more stories as it is. But that's all I've got. So next time, we're going to be diving into, what's my list? We're going to be diving into spades. So I'm kind of taking these in my least developed to my most developed. So we're going to get into spades next time. So I'd like to thank y'all so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Eat, sleep, take care of yourself, protect peace. Love y'all. Bye.